What's up, guys? I'm Nathan.
And I'm Nathan's dad.
Today with Full Throttle Cars, we are going to be doing a tutorial replacement video for this regulator on my dad's Ford Expedition. So without further ado, let's get straight into it. Alright guys, so the first thing that you have to do to really get this cover off here is remove 7 screws and or bolts. There is one right in here in the door handle. You can see that there. There's usually a cover on it, but that's missing. Right in there. And then there are 2 more down inside the little door handle. There is one screw that is right inside or on the right side of the door. And then there are 2 more 7mm bolts right at the bottom. One's right there and one's right there. So we're gonna remove that and we'll just guide you guys through it. So for these 2 in the door, you will need an extender. Alright guys, so we got all of those screws and bolts out, and so now pretty much all you have to do is loosen this clamp right here by pulling on it. You might have to get a little friction. I'm just going to use the car key right here, or a little pry tool. A little bit hard, but actually I think I might be able to lift it and then that'll just pop loose. So you're going to lift up on the door and then that pops out. You're just going to kind of lift and pull the entire way so that these keys go. Oh yeah, before you lift it, you're going to want to pull this out. I just locked the car. I'm going to unlock it. And now you can pull this. And you got to unhook a couple cables. You just pinch. There's some points on this where you'll pinch and you'll be able to feel those. And then your door is free. Alright, cool. So this is off. Alright guys, so then after you have that whole door panel off, what you want to do is take these rain shields off. They do have this black kind of tar adhesive, and you want to make sure that when you take it off, this black adhesive doesn't touch anything until you put it back on the car. So I'm going to set it tar up on this table over here, and then same thing with this. You just pull away on all this slowly and carefully as it comes down, and there are a couple cables that have to feed back through. But once that is free, you can move on to actually taking parts off of the regulator itself. Alrighty guys, so now that you have that the rain guard off, you can start pulling these cables. So this is a large cable and there's clips that you just have to set free. But that's what you want to be doing right now. Now there is a speaker cable that goes all the way down. Pull some cables that'll just make it easier to take some of these parts off. Alright, so now that you have some of those cables free, you can start to remove things, starting with this crash sensor. It's pretty important that you do not damage this guy, because it is what sets the airbag off if you get into a crash. So I believe it is a T27 that you're going to use for this. No, it is a T20. Yes. Alright, so you have your T20 here, and you're going to set this free. Alright guys, so now that we have that crash sensor off, we put it over at the table with the screws that we took off in it. Make sure you do keep those screws organized. They are very important. Alright, so after that we have this piece right here, which I do believe is the exact same. Let me just check. Actually, this one is a T20. The last one was a T25 sized pentalobe. All right, so you have that in there. All right, start loosening that. All right, so after you have this little door panel holder off, you're gonna next take the window motor itself off. You gotta unplug this little piece from here, pinch down on the top, and then you can take these T30 screws out one at a time. They're all the same size, so make sure that you just do keep them with the window motor itself. All right, just drop that piece. So now that you have that off, we're gonna take these 7mm screws off here of the speaker, and once we do that, we'll get right back with you. Okay. All right, guys, so now that you have these screws out, these 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, you're gonna pull this speaker, and there's gonna be 2 connectors. Again, just pinch and pull it off. Do not worry, you don't have to separate them. They're not really interchangeable. They have little plastic guards to where that they will not go on each other. So you have your speaker off, and the next thing that you're gonna wanna do is take off the door handle itself and get this cable out of here. This is very important in taking this out because it is easy to break this metal piece. And you think, well, if I'm replacing the regulator, why does it matter if I break it? And that's because it's the same process to put it back in as it is to take it out. So you want to basically practice on your first round. So we will get right back to you with that. All right, so what you're going to want to do is take a little pry tool that's angled. And there's a little metal piece that this plastic bit holds in. So you're going to stick this plastic bit or prier under it and just pry up slightly while pushing it in until it comes loose. And then you can let off on this plastic piece and you'll pull this out and it just kind of loosens up and this little piece comes out. It's kind of a pain, but you can get it out. And then this metal piece just pops out like that. And then you have one more little connector right there. All right, guys, so if your window glass is up and you look in through these 2 holes, you should actually see that there is a bolt back there in each of them. And if you do have that there, then you'll want to just loosen those bolts because those are the clamps that go down onto the windows. Now, these clamps actually got set free for some reason, and so we got lucky enough to be able to pull this up. If your window is not actually up at this point, you will have to lift it up. The easiest way to do that is to clip these old cables on the window regulator, pull the window up, and then actually do that with the 2 clamps. Okay. Alrighty, guys, so before we actually take out the bolts that hold in the regulator, I just wanted to say something real quick. And that is that to tie up some of these cables, you can just use some cheap zip ties. So there's that right there, and then also all of these, this big cluster of cables, you can just take, wrap around this other wire, and just, you know, loosely hold it in there. But with all that done, we can actually start removing the bolts themselves that actually hold in the regulator. So there's one right here. And make sure you do hold on to all of these bolts. One more down here. Another one. Oh, dropped a bolt. And there's two more. One is right here by the speaker. And then one more is up top here. You can actually see the piece that connects to the regulator. All right, now the regulator is actually loose. All right guys, so now that you have your window up, your clamps loose, and all the bolts out of your regulator, you can actually remove this thing. So you just kind of have to lift it up and move these two things around until you can just eventually pull it out. It might be difficult, and you might have to cut some parts of your door. Obviously you do want to avoid that, but yeah, you'll just have to pull this thing out however way you can without really damaging anything. Alright guys, so we did get the regulator out of here, as you can see. So now before you put in the new regulator, you need to go up in below where the old regulator was, and you need to just wipe off where the bottom of the windshield connects with everything. You got to make sure that it's, you know, fairly clean, no major particles up in there, because if there are, then it is possible to completely shatter your glass whenever you clamp down with the new regulator clamps. Alright guys, so now that you do have your new part, you'll want to take these two screws off right here, or these bolts right here, because they will impede your ability to get it into the regulator frame itself, and they are kind of needed to actually connect the entire thing together if you lost any of your bolts in the process of taking the old one out. Alright guys, so now that we do have the dust and everything removed off of the bottom of this glass and the whole regulator out, we can actually put the new one in. So you'll just want to take this and you just kind of got to jimmy it in here. You might have to do some moving around, but once I get it in here, we will get right back to you guys.
Okay.
Alrighty guys, so once you have the new regulator in, it kind of just sits down right here. And we got it to sit where basically you can now put some of the screws back in just to hold it in place. So the first thing you probably want to do is this one right here. Oh. Not too tight, just, you know, how much. Alright, and then you want to put one more in right here, and you'll kind of have to lift it up a little bit. There you go, it'll pop right into place actually once you lift it up. Oh, this one's not wanting to go in. We can go back over that later, but that one actually will hold it in for now. Alrighty guys, so I managed to lose one of the clips right here. So basically I'm just not going to be able to put the screw in right there. Luckily there's about 6 others that I can still put the screw in and hold the frame in place. This right here and this screw right here actually just kind of cross right through that. So that should be fine. But now that you have those two in place, you'll want to start putting your other screws in, and they line up. You can see the yellow markings. Alright, and guys, if you are using a compact gun, make sure, or impact, you do not go too tight, because you can break these bolts very easily. There's another one down here. I have another one in my pocket. Alright. One more right here. and then I'll put the rest of them in. If you just go back into the video and look at where we took them out, that'll show you exactly where you need to put them back in. Alrighty guys, so now that we do have this new regulator in, you can start putting the pieces that were on it before back on, starting with the door handle right here. So before you even try to put it back into this little area right here, you're going to want to kind of put this piece in, and it just pops down in, and then the cable comes over like that. So that is good. I bent the cable a little bit, but that doesn't really matter. So now that you have that cable in, you're going to want to put this little metal piece right into that hole with this weird little angle here, and make sure the spring stays down on this piece. Oops, I didn't get it right. Alright, so once you have that, this little metal piece right here is inhibiting it from going in. So like before, you do need to take some little pry tool, just barely lift up on this thing, just enough so that you can fit that little metal piece under there, and it'll pop right in. Alrighty guys, so once you have everything together inside of the regulator itself, you're going to want to put on this rain shield here. So the rain shield, there's actually two of them. It's just this big plastic mass. And there's this hole right here that you're going to want to feed all of these cables through. But you'll just line all these holes where the door panel connects up, and make sure that the tar lines up to where it was before. It doesn't have to be exact, but you know, it should be very, very close. Now you have three connectors. The gray one here, that's the biggest one that controls the window and the locking mechanism. There's a speaker cable here. And then there is one more small cable just beside the big gray cable. So then once you have those plugged in, you do want to just set these bottom ones kind of in the holes, or it's actually even easier sometimes to just put this locking pin is inside itself before you do anything else. Yeah, you just kind of want to jimmy it until you feel it latch into place. There we go. There, I just felt it go. These top ones. There we go. And you just hit that so it latches right there. This whole thing is into place. And then you want to put this little door handle panel on right here, and you just kind of got to push in different corners until it latches into place, and you can pull that right there. Alright guys, so once this door panel is on and it's all latched in place, you're going to want to start putting back the bolts and screws that you had taken out first thing. So what I'm going to start with is this P2 screw right here. It just goes right into the side of the door, like so. It's on the loose end. Let me tighten that down. Alright, so that is tight. You'll just close that little lid right there. Then you're going to put on your 7mm head for this thing. And you're going to take the one of the three longest bolts, and you're going to put it right inside the little door panel where you had earlier. If I can find it. There we go. That is tightened, and then the other two of the longest ones that you had from earlier will go right down inside this thing right here. And you actually kind of have to use two hands to get them set at first, because of that little lid that hides the bolts from view whenever you're not working on your car. Let me set those into place, and then I can use the impact here to just screw them the rest of the way in. Oh. Alright, there we go. Then one more over here. And then you're going to take your last two little bolt screws that you have, and you're going to put them into the bottom right down here. Oh, dropped it. Alright, so with that little bolt there, you are done with the window regulator replacement on your Ford Expedition. Alrighty guys, so that is going to do it for today's video over the window regulator replacement of a Ford Expedition 2007 to 2013 model. If it is a newer or older model, the replacement should be fairly similar, but it's not going to be exactly the same. Huge thanks to my dad for being the cameraman and for helping me out through the entire process. But with that, this video is over.